Hi, welcome to our channel. Today we're going to look at another mystery case.
In Kazakhstan, one of the most resonant trials of recent years is currently underway. The defendant is Kuandyk Bishimbayev, the former Minister of National Economy of the country. Previously convicted of corruption offenses, he now faces charges of murder. According to the primary version of events, in November 2023, he severely beat his wife, Saltanat Nukenova, resulting in her death. Rather than calling an ambulance, Bishimbayev attempted to cover up the crime. And when Saltanat died, he refused to admit his guilt. The entire world now demands that he receive, if not severe, at least fair punishment. Who is Saltanat Nukenova? Saltanat was born in 1992 into a well-known and respected family in Kazakhstan. Her grandfather was an honored teacher in the USSR, and in his memory, a national judo tournament was organized. Saltanat's father built a successful business, and her uncle, Kairat, pursued a political career, serving as the head of Pavlodar, Ekibastus, Aksu, and the Zhelezinski district. Saltanat was light, joyful, such a bright child in our family. She studied well, graduated from school, college, and institute, Kairat Nukenov said. She was self-sufficient. She didn't depend on anyone. She didn't ask us for money. She achieved everything on her own. She was so open and respectful to everyone. The Nukenovs were not millionaires, and Saltanat was not born with a golden spoon in her mouth. Her parents made every effort to secure their children's future, dedicating themselves entirely to their business. Thanks to their efforts, Saltanat received an education in England, and her brother Aitbek studied in the USA. After completing her studies, Saltanat became interested in astrology. She took several courses and began conducting personal consultations, becoming a sought-after astrologer with appointments booked weeks in advance. She had plans to build a career as a TV presenter, and her relatives had no doubts she would succeed. Saltanat also helped people, not only through astrology, but with real deeds. There was a story when Salta and I helped a friend escape from her tyrant husband. This happened over 10 years ago, and now this girl is doing great. Often, women who have no brothers, relatives, or friends around need this kind of help. Abusers try to isolate their wives from all ties and contacts, preventing them from communicating with friends and social networks, Aitbek Nukenov said. Unfortunately, Saltanat was unable to protect herself. Marriage and regret. It was as if Saltanat subconsciously shielded herself from men. Even in her astrological practices, she had a rule not to work with single men. Consequently, when Kuandyk Bishimbayev saw Saltanat on social media, he sent a friend to her and accompanied the friend to the consultation. This marked the beginning of an obsessive courtship. By that time, Bishimbayev had a notable history. A divorced official with 4 children from a previous marriage, arrested for large-scale bribery. Although sentenced to 10 years in prison for bribery, he was released on parole after only a few months. Naturally, Saltanat's relatives were not thrilled about this suitor and rejected his candidacy. However, Bishimbayev was persistent and eventually persuaded Saltanat to meet him and form her own opinion, disregarding outside stories. She agreed, though she was not in a hurry to fall in love. After several meetings and a joint trip to Azerbaijan, Saltanat spoke of Kuandyk as a good, educated man and said she had fallen in love. In October 2022, Bishimbayev proposed to her. Seeing their daughter's strong feelings for her beau, her parents did not object. Due to problems with the Kazakhstani equivalent of gosuslugi, the newlyweds could not officially register their marriage, but they did marry in a ceremony. Just a few hours after the ceremony, their first quarrel occurred, and 3 months later, Saltanat bitterly regretted her choice for the first time. Just a little bit more, he'll just kill you. Almost immediately after the wedding, Bishimbayev stopped hiding his true nature. On New Year's Eve, he overturned the family table because the purchased gifts were opened without his presence. From the very first days of their unofficial marriage, he forbade Saltanat from communicating with friends and relatives, monitored her every move, suspected her of non-existent cheating, and read her social media correspondence. Soon, the surveillance was accompanied by regular beatings from the jealous husband. In March 2023, Saltanat sent her brother photos showing severe bruises on her face. Unable to reach his sister, Aitbek rushed to confront her abuser. A fight ensued, after which Aytbek called the police and eventually found Saltanat in a neighboring apartment. I told her, "Pack your things, we are leaving. You don't need all this." She said that she was an adult, that she loved him, and that she would keep the marriage. I told her, "Just a little bit more and stronger. He will just kill you with such blows," Aytbek Amangeldi said. One of the main reasons why Saltanat did not leave Bishimbayev was financial dependence. After the wedding, she stopped giving consultations and was put on his financial support, which was far from generous. Due to financial difficulties, she often asked acquaintances for money, a situation that had never occurred before. Eventually, she disappeared from all social circles. In July 2023, she told us that she couldn't go out with us because she was constantly bruised and under his control. She said, "I am so jealous of you. I also want so much to freely go out to sit somewhere, but I can't with him," Saltanat's cousin Aynura recounted. The last dinner. Saltanat also shared details of her family life with Aynura. She sent a picture of a broken finger in a cast, admitting that Bishimbayev had repeatedly assaulted her. More and more, Saltanat thought about leaving the tyrant. According to her brother, she left her husband at least 8 times but always returned. A friend, Aida Akhmadina, recounted how, in the spring of 2023, Saltanat said she needed a lawyer, could not take away her husband's belongings, and feared his revenge. Saltanat told her friend that she had tried to leave Bishimbayev many times, but he refused to let her go. He claimed that her family had photos of the beatings and would blackmail him. He demanded that Saltanat record a nude video so he could have leverage over her. She refused, but the video was a prerequisite for their separation. On November 4th, 2023, Saltanat had dinner with her relatives for the last time. On the night of the 8th to the 9th, she called her brother and said she would come soon, as she had left her husband, but she never made it. That night, she had dinner with her husband at the Bao restaurant, and she did not leave the restaurant alive. In the heat of an argument, Bishimbayev severely beat her. Instead of calling an ambulance, he called a clairvoyant who assured him that she would wake up soon. For several hours, the victim lay in the VIP room where the official's brother watched her death rattle. The criminal himself had left for a planned meeting and breakfast. Only when Nukenova's heart stopped did Bishimbayev call emergency services. In court, the relationship between the brothers, both in the dock, escalated. At one session, a relative of the ex-minister testified about the pressure he faced. He recounted how a man approached him at night in the detention center and told him to follow him. "I was dragged out of my cell. I went to him, and I saw Bishimbayev standing next to me," Bakitjan said. "I turned around and left. I told the administration not to let him come near me again." According to Bakitjan, Barzan Musin, a former deputy of the Ministry of Information's Committee on Religious Affairs and Civil Society, came to his cell. The former official tried to convince him that Bishimbayev was innocent. He kept saying, "The forensics showed that she was drunk, she was drunk." That's what he kept saying, Bakitjan said. After his attempts to pressure his brother failed, Bishimbayev changed tactics. The ex-minister began to insist that it was Bakitjan who was blackmailing him, not the other way around. To protect himself, Bishimbayev did not shy away from any method. For example, he portrayed Saltanat as a depressed, drunken woman who fell, broke bones, hit her head on the toilet bowl, then fell asleep and snored. He mistook her death rattle for snoring. As more details emerge, public outrage grows. Now Bishimbayev is charged under 2 articles of the Criminal Code of Kazakhstan: torture and murder committed with particular cruelty. The outraged public hopes that this time the tyrant will not escape responsibility.
Thanks for watching. Write your opinion in the comments. Subscribe to our channel not to miss the next mystery story from real life.